God is good.
All the time.
And all the time.
God is good.
Any parents? We got some soon-to-be parents. You ever raise kids? Nothing troubles you more as a parent. I know you late nights, grades, car insurance, schooling. Nothing troubles you more than worrying about the friends your kids pick out. The kids that your kids hang out with will determine so much of the trouble that they get in or stay out of, right? So nothing can keep you up at night more than worrying about the friends that they pick, who they'll be friends with. And if we were realistic, if we were rational, if we thought about it, we would realize that that carries on into adulthood as well. It's not just true for our children, but it's true for us, for our entire lives. Think back, for some of you it may be several decades, some maybe just 20 years, but think back to when you were in grade school, elementary school, and what a big deal that it was to declare that your friendship had moved into the status of best friend. You remember what that was like? You know, all of a sudden you're thinking, oh wow, we're best friends, so we're going to hang out, we're going to have sleepouts, we'll ride bikes together, we'll go to the movies together, whatever, and now we are best friends. And then what happened when that friendship kind of fizzled out? It almost felt like a death in the family. It almost felt like a divorce, right? And now they're close friends, they don't talk with your close friends, and you're not best friends anymore, and everyone gets their feelings hurt. I doubt you can remember every childhood friend, and I doubt you stay in touch with childhood friends. But could you imagine going through life without having those close friendships? Any Parks and Rec fans? The show TV? Yeah. I like Ron Swanson. I like what he had to say about friendship. He said, I once worked with a guy for 3 years and never got to know his name. He was the best friend I ever had. Sometimes we still don't talk to each other. He said, what was it? He said about, he goes, when people start to get too chummy with me, sometimes I call them by the wrong name just to let them know. Well, okay, so he may not be the spokesperson for friendship unless you watch the entire series. If you watch all 7 or 8 seasons, you really see the strength of friendship come out for him at the end. So all the callous things he had to say, it all comes back together at the end. By the way, time out for a second. I am of the opinion, if you're married, your spouse should be your best friend. That I think makes for the best relationship. So I can remember, it seems like at least 30 years ago, there was a movie about a group of kids going into this creepy house. Ringing a bell? What movie might have that have been?
It.
Huh?
It.
That's also in my notes too, but that's that was 2 down. But yeah, we can talk about It for a moment. What's the great thing about that show, It? If you've read the book by Stephen King or if you watch the movie, it starts off when they're all like grade school kids, and then it picks up when they're old, right? But what bonds them together? Friendship. I was talking about Goonies, actually. That's way before your time, fellas. So you probably weren't even born when that was rerun on TV. But it's still popular. You can still see movie posters for it. People still talk about it on Facebook. And that's the only thing that was good about that was their friendship. Sandlot, I never watched it, but I know the line, you're killing me, Smalls, right? Bunch of friends that hang out together. All right, here's one for you. Season 1 was excellent. Season 2 is mediocre. I wasn't impressed with Season 3, but I will watch Season 4 when it comes out next year, Stranger Things. Great show. Well, Jimmy, you should watch it. It's on Netflix. Do you have Netflix? Yeah, you should watch it. It's set in like 1983, 1984, and it's in the Midwest, God's country, and there's a group of like kids that are in grade school, and they're basically going to save the town. But it's interesting to see how kids that would be nerdy, they play Dungeons and Dragons. Kids who are actually like in high school who have the fast cars and who are cool, and how the bonds of friendship work. There's just certain things you do in life with friends. Like I saw a group of people that went to see Garth Brooks. It was on Facebook. I mean, Garth Brooks is so. But you didn't go by yourself, did you, Amber? No. Right? There's just certain things you don't do by yourself, and it's just better when you're with friends. I'll tell you one thing, Lord of the Rings, I mean, surely you've seen the trilogy on video. If you didn't plummet through the book, the hero of that story, by the way, is Samwise, in case you didn't figure it out. It's not Frodo. He's the hero that encourages Frodo. But that's all about friendship. Star Wars, it's popular, right? May 1977, when it first came out, people are still crazy about Star Wars. And if you watch it, it's all about the relationships, right? What would Han Solo be without Chewbacca, right? Strange as it is, what would Luke Skywalker be without R2-D2, right? How do they have that friendship? I don't know. It's probably too early to tell. History will probably inform us 50, maybe 100 years from now. I think it's too early to tell what the impact or the effect of social media is going to be on our friendships. I think Facebook is saccharine. It's Diet Coke. It's
You're on Facebook right now, just remind me.
yeah. No, I mean, I'm on Facebook all the time. My point is the friendships that we have on there. Right? How are you friends with someone you've never met before? Come on. Is that a real friendship, you know? I probably have maybe 300 friends on Facebook. You know, I don't try to get, 5,000 friends. That's just, I'd like to think I know everybody that I'm a friend with on there. But social media itself, it provides like this substitute interaction for relationships. And it's changed, because I can remember a time when friends were actually in the same room and they hung out together. You know? I mean, you rode bikes together, or you went out to eat together, whatever. You did something together, not, through the airwaves or cyberspace or whatever. So I don't know what the impact will be, but I'm curious to see how it will turn out. So what are friends for? What do you think about it? I know I have said with friends like you, but what are friends for? Right? Think about it for a moment. Friends are more than a way to alleviate our loneliness. Most people are like, oh, well, friend means relationship. I don't know how you define friend. I don't know what comes to your mind when you think of friend. Companionship, someone that you hang around with, someone with similar interests or whatever. But it's more than just alleviating our friendships. And I want to start with the idea that maybe God gave us the gift of friends, of friendships. And maybe it's just me. Maybe God gave us this gift because sometimes our families are unreliable. Sometimes those people that we're related to are not always those who love and care for. So the text I've chosen is Proverbs 18 and verse 24. My translation read slightly different than the version we had on the screen. I'm going to read it to you from the English Standard Version. And it really wasn't much different, but the English Standard Version says, a man of many companions may come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Isn't that crazy? Our flesh and blood, our family, they're not always the greatest source of encouragement. It doesn't mean that family is bad. I'm not downing family at all. Family is very important for all of us, for our society, for the structure of how we live. But there are times when friends will be closer and be there for us, and there are times that we with family just won't. And so the proverb writer says, a man of many companions may come to rule. So you could look at this as like, this is quality over quantity. You might have a bunch of companions, you might have a bunch of people who are, kind of closely associated, but there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. So maybe that's one reason God gave us friends. And again, friends do more than alleviate loneliness. They also can be what defines our character or how our reputation is formed. I'm going to read from Matthew chapter 11. And Jesus gets a reputation because of the people that he hangs around with. So, in Jesus' day and age, you didn't just go sit down in a fast food restaurant and have a meal surrounded by strangers. Like yesterday we were in Chattanooga, and we were going to eat from this food truck place, and they just happened to be closed on Saturday. It's called Fat Boys, and everybody in Chattanooga loves it. And so we were going to eat there, but they were closed. So I just threw out really quick. I said, well, let's go to eat the Lord's chicken. Where would that be? Chick-fil-A.
Good call, though. That makes sense.
Church's chicken would be good. I like church. I said, let's just go to Chick-fil-A really quick, because I think the kids will like it. We've got all the grandkids, because we're going to go together. And we sat down, and we're surrounded by all these people with misbehaving kids, and it's loud and everything, but you don't know anyone there. In Jesus' day and age, check it out. When you sat down for table fellowship, even though you're unrelated, when you sat down, you said, this person and I are bonded. There were bonds of fellowship and rules of hospitality and cultural etiquette that says, basically, if this person is in trouble, I bail them out. I've got their back, they've got my back. So table fellowship had this whole different meaning than what we have today. It really meant something to sit down and break bread with someone. You had a bond that was closer at times than family games, okay? So Jesus is hanging out with people that are of ill repute, right? So Matthew chapter 11, where is that? Okay, verse 18. So Jesus says, John the Baptist, came neither eating nor drinking, and they say, he has a demon. Right? The people who are antagonistic to the coming of the kingdom, the people who are antagonistic to what John was preaching and what Jesus was preaching. So they look at John and say, oh, he's got a demon. Verse 19, the Son of Man, which is one of Jesus' favorite self-designation. Right? When he says the Son of Man, harkens them back to the Old Testament prediction of the coming of the Son of Man. Jesus says, the Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, look at him, a glutton and a drunkard, a friend of tax collectors and sinners. Yet wisdom is justified by her deeds. So Jesus is hanging out with people of ill repute. They say, look, he's a drunkard, he's drinking, he's a glutton, he overeats, and he is a friend of tax collectors and of sinners. Tax collectors, the national enemy of the state. They are Jewish, ethnic, Jewish race people, but they're working for the Roman government, and they're collecting taxes from the Jewish people to pay the Roman government, and they are probably still to this day most tax collectors, right? They're the most hated people in that society. But Jesus is fellowshipping with them. He's eating with them. He's drinking with them. He's breaking bread. He's hanging out with them. And so now his reputation, well, he's a drunkard and a glutton because he hangs out with them. Our friends will define our character and our reputation to the people around us. Well, I don't know much about him, but he hangs out with this group, and what I know about that group. So the people that you spend time with, it really does matter. It impacts your reputation. Good friends, they also stir you to action. I want to read from John chapter 15. And I want you to think about times in your life where people have motivated you, where people have encouraged you to do, to act, to get involved. At the end of Jesus' earthly ministry, just basically hours before he'll be arrested, moments before they'll take him away to flog him and beat him and eventually crucify him, he's with his disciples, and he says this in John 15:12. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. This is the ultimate act of love and of concern, that you lay down your life for your friends. You are my friends if you do what I command you. And the command was what? To love one another. Right? I no longer call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing, but I have called you friends. For all that I have heard from my Father, I have made known to you. So, Jesus says, here's what I want. We are friends. I want you to love each other, love one another the way that I've loved you. And there's nothing that shows a greater amount of love than sacrifice, than lay down your life, or to put yourself in a position that elevates those around you. So friendships stir us, motivate us, they call us to action. Which leads me to my second to last point. The hardest part about some friendships, perhaps, but also what could be one of the, I don't know, I want to say the best, the most beneficial, maybe the most important for your and my development. I'm going to tell you what a true friend is. You may be thinking, a true friend is when I get a flat tire and they come and they help me change the tire. A true friend is, hey, I've got relatives coming in town and I can't house them all. Can you put them up? You may be thinking, a true friend will fix you a meal when, I don't know what you're thinking, but I'm going to tell you what the truest friendship is. Here is the greatest determining factor, the most powerful evidence that someone is a friend. And that is the person who will risk the relationship with you to tell you a hard truth. The person that loves you enough to say, I'm going to have a hard talk with you. Are you listening, Jimmy?
Yeah. Oh.
Proverbs 27, verse 6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Profuse are the kisses of an enemy. Let me read that to you one more time. Proverbs 27, verse 6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend. Profuse are the kisses of an enemy. Your enemy will flatter you. Oh, you are so smart. You are so strong. You are so, oh, man, you are so great. And they're blowing sunshine up your skirt. And they're, oh, you are just everything to me. And blah, blah, blah. Kissy, kissy, kissy while they're stabbing you in the back. Profuse are the kisses of an enemy. Right? They're going to lavish attention, lavish care, pretend. But the proverb writer says, faithful are the wounds of a friend. When someone tells you something that cuts to the heart, it wounds you, but they're not trying to hurt you. They're willing to tell you, hey, listen, you're screwing up. You're messing up. You need to do this for the good of you, for the good of your family, for the good of whatever. That's the person who really cares about you. People that are unwilling to be truthful with you are not your friends. I don't know what they want from you. I don't know what their agenda is. But when people never ever have a tough conversation with you, you have to wonder, why can't they say these things? Why are they trying to shelter? I don't know. So, a true friend is the one who will risk the relationship. And finally, let me close with this. I turned to Song of Solomon. Now, there's some friendship passages in there. Ecclesiastes chapter 4. A good friend does have your back when you're in a bind. There's no doubt about that. Solomon says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their toil. For if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. If one at the shooting range runs out of ammo, the other... Oh, wait, no. But woe to him who is alone when he falls and has not another to lift him up. Again, if 2 lie together, they keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone. And though a man might prevail against one who is alone, two will withstand him. A threefold cord is not quickly broken. So this week, as you pare down your Facebook friends, and as you tighten the circle, just keep in mind the many blessings that God has bestowed on us through the gift of friendship.